I think we just operate so much on autopilot, right? Particularly as perfectionists. And if you're the first and you have to be perfect, and we want to be perfect, not only for ourselves, but for our families and our communities. Yeah. And, the perfectionist part is not going to totally die. But I want to also weave in a bit of self-care and self-knowledge and really understanding what I need when I need it. I'm like, can I spray on a little wellness? That's more my vibe.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, one of the things I was most interested in about Brown Girl Jane, yes, and something that I think really makes you special, and that is your unique focus on wellness. I think that is so amazing in today's world full of stress and anxiety.
Just a little.
24-hour news cycles.
Right.
We've got a lot going on in our world, and everyone can see what's happening in the world at all times. So, yeah, I think wellness and connecting with your inner self is so important. So when I hear about the wellness benefits of fragrance, I just kind of light up and I think about how can a fragrance truly make you feel well. So I'm wondering if you could dive into some of the science behind the Brown Girl Jane fragrances and how you're injecting wellness into them.
I think for so long, myself included, we think of fragrance as something for other people to experience. And as a brand that started really on the premise of making people feel better, whether that was getting better rest during the night or just feeling less anxious, when we learned that scent is our strongest sense, it's the most direct correlation to brain activity, it's the most immediate, the most intense, and we're all about creating little rituals that don't have to be complicated and that have an immediate impact. And so we started, working with formulators and master perfumers to create a collection that would be as amazing as it smells. We wanted it to also have a real targeted benefit to mood and emotion. And so it's really all about scent you can feel.
Yes, I love that. Scent you can feel.
Yes. Because the other thing is, we want our products to do more than one thing. And so while we walk around with these amazing scents, it's like, can it also help me sleep? Can it also help me feel a little more alert, a little more relaxed, a little more in love? And when we found out the answer is a resounding yes, we were really excited. And so we've been doubling down on, the innovation in the category and just bringing some amazing scents to life.
That's so awesome that you can leverage this science and psychology of wellness and mood and inject that into fragrance, because I obviously fragrance nerd over here, but usually it's kind of like your interpretation of it, right? It's something that you're saying, okay, well, this maybe reminds me of something and that's why I love it. Maybe I smell a little bit of suntan lotion or something and that's why this fragrance makes me feel like I'm at the beach. But you're actually using science in the development cycle. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit.
We're actually using both.
You're using both.
Yeah. So I think the exciting thing is that we also layer cultural nuance into scent, because there are cultural tendencies to the way that we experience scent. In the Middle East, there are certain scents that for a lot of people evoke, home or evoke, very something familiar. It feels very grounding, and it's true all over the world in Africa and America. And so, as a brand that has centered the multicultural audience, we've layered that also into the scents that we've selected, right? What are the scents that are, the most comforting, the most rich, in general to us as a culture. So it's a mix of the culture and the science, which makes it really fun.
That makes it a holistic experience.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's what it's all about.
Would you mind providing us an example of how you're bridging culture and science to create a fragrance? I'd love to learn more about the process.
Sure. Well, we leverage about 25 years of studies, clinical studies measuring brain activity. And so what we do is, the perfumers concoct different scents, and that can be based on environmental elements, like, how people feel when they're in a forest or near water or those sorts of things. Or they're just what are tendencies when people smell certain notes. And all of that is leveraged and put into technology. And so you're able to drop some of that technology into each fragrance, right? Wow. And so that's the scientific part. based on the 25 years of MRIs and brainwave activity from the perfumers. What we also do is leverage, cultural knowledge and studies around what resonates in different communities. And so, and it's not the same, right? So every woman is different, but there are things that tend to be true, right? There are some cultures that love a more oud, heavier feel, and that typically feels like home, or it feels very comforting. Sometimes we love our, bright, fruity florals and for certain situations. And so we just weave that knowledge in a bit while also making it really distinct and unique.
I think when you get to the store and you just pick up the fragrance and you smell it, you kind of just focus on the scent. And of course, that's awesome. And that's why people buy. But knowing all of the work, the science, the effort, like that's what really sets your brand apart, right? You're not going after, hey, I want to get this market and I want the third fragrance in my collection. It's really like positioned and well thought out in the sense that you're trying to create a whole mood and a whole vibe as a person smelling that's backed by neuroscience and cultural relevance. I think that's so cool.
Thank you.
It sets you apart.
Thank you.
I mean, it's
been fun. It's been fun. I mean, even I'm thinking about our last, so our bestseller is Casablanca right now, which is a scent that has marshmallow and soft suede. And it's just been remarkable how many women have sort of described it in the same way in terms of the feeling.
Yes.
Like, this makes me feel so romantic, and this makes me feel, so sexy. And I think it ties into what we're talking about around not only the scent science, but also some of the cultural knowledge around, what our audience gravitates towards.
I love that. And you've spoken about that ritual, right? So I was wondering if you can tell us what the intended ritual is for a Brown Girl Jane fragrance. When are we putting it on? When are we trying to kind of make that magic happen or evoke that mood?
All the time.
Anytime.
Yes. No, but so our first collection, it has a beautiful 30 ml bottle, and we made it that way because it can fit in the palm of your hand, and it was meant to take with you on the go, right? So it's not only meant to sit on the vanity and the thing that you use in the morning before you go out, but it's also like when I need that dose of pick me up, or when I need to be grounded or feel a little more calm, less anxious, I have this in my purse and it's ready to go. So there is no one ritual. It's been amazing to see how many women use fragrance before bed, as you know, and so developing fragrance to help us sleep has been really exciting. So it's just really around forming your own ritual, but also integrating these products into the rituals you already have.
Right. Because
I think that's one thing that we learned over the evolution of Brown Girl Jane is that it is, honestly, it's hard to form new rituals. We all have gotten a gym membership in January, and if you check on us in April, we may or may not still be going. And so it was really exciting for us to explore those wellness forward benefits that we could inject into products that we already use to make that hill a little less steep to climb in terms of just those tools that will help us feel good during the day.
I love that, because the Pelotons, the Soul Cycles, there's a lot.
I know.
People also, I think wellness has been such a buzzword to people that it's lost its meaning for some. And sometimes people's idea of wellness, you'll see on Instagram, is like this really intense, strict.
Yes.
They call it a ritual, but I find it stressful.
Yes, it's like, I love that for you.
I love that for you. If you can maintain this, great.
Right. It's not my life.
Exercise is great.
Absolutely.
I exercise for the record. It's just
drink your water, get your sleep.
Get your water, get your sleep.
But also,
let's get our 8 hours. But let's also have a moment for ourselves.
Yes.
To spray on fragrance and to transport yourself. My wellness ritual, I think, with Brown Girl Jane is in between meetings.
Okay.
I like to pause sometimes.
I love that.
I'll be like, oh, I have another call to go to.
Yes.
And I'll just pause.
I need a moment.
Yeah. This was a long conversation.
Yes.
I want to be back with myself, and I'll spray, and I'm like, I close my eyes and I just
I love
breathe
that.
in once or twice and then get on to my next meeting.
I love that because it centers you and it's a moment just for you.
A moment just for you. How many times do we have that in life these days? Not enough.
Not enough. And I think it's really exciting right now in fragrance because I do think it's ripe for that injection of soul and culture into making really beautiful scents that you can feel at the same time. You know, weaving together the wellness approach and then the cultural nuance has been really exciting in a category that has felt traditional to a lot of people for a long time.
Yeah, it's conscious creation at its best.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, so I'd love to shift the conversation and talk about you a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I feel like your story is super unique. I know earlier in your career, you worked for Wall Street and you were a bond trader. Is that correct?
I was.
Yes.
I was.
And
so very close to the beauty industry.
Right? We've made a shift.
Like kind of the same thing, but different. No.
Same, but different.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about what created that shift for you. How did you go from Wall Street bond trader to CEO and co-founder of a fragrance wellness beauty brand?
Yes. So I spent most of my professional career as a bond trader and investment banker, and I really loved it. And I also thought I was doing everything perfectly. And I, climbed the ranks and was running a huge portfolio, billions of dollars. And yeah,
money,
a little money. And, traveling all the time and just wheeling and dealing. And, looked up one day and I was like, wait, I have no plan for my own internal wellness. Like I have all of the accolades, I have everything on paper, and it was great, but I also had no plan. I had not mapped out, okay, well, how are you going to ensure that you are, not burnt out? Which of course happens. How are you going to ensure that you're centered? And is this what you really want to be doing long term? And I looked to my left and my right, and my friends and colleagues were all asking themselves the same thing, particularly women of color. My co-founder, Ty Beauchamp, she has a huge career in television production and magazine editor. Again, like the first Black editor at 17, launched Oprah magazine.
Wow.
And my middle sister, Nia, she was running a philanthropic organization here in New York. And, one of the biggest global insurance companies and running all of their philanthropy. And we're like, yeah, we're doing everything right.
Impressive.
Except we had no plan and we were all burnt out. And so we were like, it would be amazing to create the brand that we wish we had when we were doing all of these wonderful things and a lot of times flying around being superwomen, but not prioritizing our wellness and not really understanding what wellness could look like beyond the powders and pills and Pilates.
3 Ps.
Yeah, the 3 Ps.
Powders, pills, and Pilates.
Right. But certainly not seeing ourselves reflected in the marketplace, not seeing ourselves reflected in really exciting, luxurious feeling products. And wanting to also create collections that we could just integrate into our lives. Because again, we have the gym membership, but we still don't go. So it's like, we don't go all the time.
Right.
Like my co-founder, Ty, she hikes every day. So she goes all the time. But I'm like, can I spray on a little wellness? That's more my vibe.
Right.
But I think the point is that we wanted to create that collection and community that was easily integratable into these busy lives that we had, and filled the gaping hole in the wellness market for, not centering women like us for far too long. And what happened over that course is that, all women and men really saw themselves in different parts of our story. So, we have about 50% women of color who are, customers and tribe members, but 50% who are not. And so the message and the support system that we try to be across category has really resonated, beyond one demographic, which has also been really exciting.
Absolutely. And not to dwell on the one demographic, but you've said something in the past that's really poignant to me and speaks to me directly. You said you were the first of a lot of things in a lot of ways. And sometimes that creates the stress and the burnout, right?
Yeah.
So how did you find the ability to acknowledge that there is burnout and move past it to formulate this idea or this new plan or direction for your life?
I think we just operate so much on autopilot, right? Particularly as perfectionists. And if you're the first and you have to be perfect, and we want to be perfect, not only for ourselves, but for our families and our communities. Yes. And, I come from a family who has done just such amazing things in their respective spaces. And it's like, well, this is what you're supposed to do. And I think what has been wonderful is realizing, well, this is also what you're supposed to do. You're also supposed to feel good. And you're also supposed to make sure that, you're not only beyond achievement, but that your community is feeling good. And so that was sort of the revelation that happened. And I was like, okay, well, how can I marry all of these things? I'm still going to want to create something amazing. And, the perfectionist part is not going to totally die. But I want to also weave in a bit of self-care and self-knowledge and really understanding what I need when I need it. Because I think that's the other thing.
Right.
It's like we know we need, support and all that sort of stuff. But it's like when you're really in tune with yourself, how that shifts and when it shifts and like what you can grab or what you can, do to help yourself feel better. And I think it's just that consciousness. And so we want it to create, not only the products that help you feel better, but like have conversations around that consciousness that you can feel better, that you should, and you deserve to. Right. Like this is not normal. You should not, come home and collapse every day.
You heard that here first, everyone. You should not come home and collapse every day. That's not good.
That's not good.
We need time for ourselves.
Right.
We need wellness.
Right. It's not always a New York way, but it's like, how do I have these little moments where, I'm feeling a little better incrementally?
Yeah. A little check-in with yourself. Yes. It sounds like you three were kind of had a tribe together where you were able to sit down and kind of commiserate over the burnout and wanting just something better for yourselves, for your personal lives as opposed to your professionals, which were skyrocketing. So was there a specific moment in time where you all like sat at the table and were like, let's do this? Like, what was that moment like that really kicked off the start of Brown Girl Jane?
Actually, the idea happened after the birth of my third child. And I had just moved from New York to Washington, D.C. and suffered a back injury. And, during childbirth. And so it was a ton of fun. And no, I'm just kidding.
It can't be fun.
Yeah, no, it was awful. It was awful. And,
sorry to hear that.
Went down the road of pharmaceuticals because that's what doctors suggested. And I wanted to explore other options to just feeling better than, pills for the rest of my life. And that was sort of the genesis, along with what I'd been feeling already, having left the career on Wall Street. And so I started dreaming up what that brand could look like and what that community needed to look like to support everything. And grabbed hold of my sister, Nia, who was at that time, I think she had a 1 and 3-year-old. Now she has a 1, 3, and 5-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And we were, just tinkering with what the brand could look like and how it could support women and what products needed to be like on our bedside tables or in our bathrooms to just, again, like inject a little feel good throughout our days. And it wasn't long after that I had a conversation with Ty, who I'd actually gone to Spelman with. So we all are Spelman graduates. And Ty and I were in New York at the same time, but in very different fields. And so Nia in philanthropy, me on Wall Street, and she was, in magazine publishing and hosting and producing. And so had a conversation around what it could look like around 3 women who have a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences, right? Ty at that time was on a plane, I think 200 days a year because she was filming a travel show.
Wow.
Yeah, something ridiculous. And has a background in brand. I have a background in, strategy operations. Nia obviously has a great background in impact. And so it was like this almost trinity coming together, imagining from different lenses what support needed to look like. right? And so we come from, like I said, different places, have different lifestyles, but it's like, what collectively can a product line, can a community look like to really support the women who are going through the same stuff that we're going through? How can it be beautiful? How can we inject wellness into the beauty industry? All of those sorts of questions. And we sort of started ripping apart and then building what now is Brown Girl Jane.
It's the dream team.
It is. It's a lot of fun because, again, I think that's one thing that's our superpower as a founding team is that we have such different backgrounds and perspectives, and we push each other and challenge each other and, support each other. Yes. And you always have someone to ask and bounce things off. And as nice as, we're all had big solo careers before. And so to have something together where you can leverage each other's superpower is really special, I think.
That's wonderful. It's a trio, a community. And it's so interesting to hear that while you come from all of these different areas of the business, like your Venn diagram overlapped at this time.
Yes, I love the Venn diagram.
We've got the 3 circles, people, if we don't know what a Venn diagram is anymore.
Yes.
But in the center of that is this desire to create something meaningful for people who look like you, but also for the broader market that hadn't been done before. And it's like all of you had this agreement. It's so cool. I love this.
Thank you.
Great friend group. Well done.
Thank you.
Well
Spellman.
Done. Yes, it's 3 Spellman grads coming together. Grads. You know that something good is going to happen. Absolutely iconic. So on kind of the topic of, you 3 coming together to form Brown Girl Jane, I wanted to know, who is Jane?
Who's Jane?
Who's Jane?
Jane is every woman, and so Jane is that play on, the every girl. And it can be like, you're Jane.
I'm Jane.
Yes.
We're all Jane.
You're all Jane. We're all Jane.
Yes.
And so, but we're Brown Girl Jane. And so it's like every facet of us, and we're not always the same Jane, but we're always Jane, right?
Right.
We have so many layers to ourselves, but there are those commonalities. And so Jane is the commonality, thread that binds us together.
That's so cool. I love that. I'm so glad I asked you that.
Thank you.
Who's Jane? Yes. I just wanted to know.
I love the whisper.
Yeah.
That makes it even better.
Is,
that's your thing.
It's creepy, but it's hilarious.
I like it. A little something special.
A little something special. I think it says it in your name, this idea that everyone can see themselves in your brand and everyone deserves to have those moments to themselves and that wellness.
Yeah.
We've talked about how you were on Wall Street and you're a bond trader, and we've kind of left that world to some extent. But is there anything you took with you from those days that you've brought into this business or you've brought into the beauty space?
Sure. I mean, I think bond trading, you talk about corporate America, it's part of it, but it's probably the anti-corporate America part of corporate America. I mean, it's raw and it's real, and it's scratch and survive, and you make it happen, and it's measurable. And so that was exciting to me, particularly as a Black woman, to be in something where it's like, at the end of the day, how much money you made, how much money you lost, all of those sorts of things were really important. And I think that's, in terms of the business side, a lot of what I've brought to Brown Girl Jane is like, we want to be able to measure the impact that we're doing. We want to be able to, we're gritty. We're a new brand.
Scrappy.
Yeah, we're scrappy. And so we're able to constantly, we're not constantly, but we're able to pivot when needed. And I think that's something that, that's a very bond trader, a trader way. It's like, if the market shifts, then you got to be quick on your feet. And so it's a very active approach to running a business that I think, my previous life has helped with.
Yeah, I can see that in my conversation with you, and just talking about your brand. You've got, you deal in a combination of, what are the numbers? What is the data saying? And then, the culture around it. So it does kind of permeate in your brand and the brand story and origin. So it's really cool. Really cool to hear.
Yeah, my trading days are deep into me.
They've sunken their teeth
they're
into you.
sunken their teeth into me. It is It's good. You just make it happen. You don't stop. But what's nice now is I understand wellness. So,
right.
so
it's
sometimes
about balance.
Yes, exactly.
You have both of them in you.
Yes,
like you don't have to get rid of those things that
right.
are so present in your life.
Right.
But you've brought the good things and thrown out the bad, it seems like.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Yes, it's a process. It's a process. That's something we also remind ourselves. It's like, it's not perfection. It's a process.
Not perfection. It's a process. I love that. I'm going to get a tattoo of that. How do you feel about that tattoo?
I support
do you want to
that.
get them after?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do that. We'll find somewhere. We are in Times Square, so
I just have to think of the perfect place.
The placement is everything, really. Okay, so I think we've talked about a lot about self-expression through scent, and kind of how you can create moments for yourself through scent. But I want to get in a little time machine with you and talk about little Malaika growing up. And I know about some of your earliest scent memories, and how you said they're so tied to nostalgia. But going back to your feelings of home and family, you've said in the past that you had a link with your mother and a natural fragrance she used to wear. So
my mother has always been, very holistically minded, and, the farmer's market and the apple juice with the sediment at the bottom. Like that was how we grew up, and lots of crystals and grounding. And so it's been wonderful, but it extended to her fragrance. And so she would have essential oils and lavender. And that would not only be, used for her, but it would be, incorporated into helping us feel good with little remedies and those sorts of things. So there are certain scents that feel like home when you smell them, that are very particular. So lavender is one, eucalyptus is another. Yeah, she liked very earthy, sort of herbal scents. And anytime I smell those, I'm like, that's my mom.
Is my mom there?
Yeah.
It's very natural. I think she's kind of ahead of her time. I remember, back in the day, it was like everything was artificial, like
yes,
TV dinners and
yes,
processed foods, and now we're just getting out of it. So, for what kind of do you know what sparked that in your family and your mom's life to center herself in wellness and rooted in naturals?
Yeah, so she traveled a ton. She lived in Kenya. She lived in Belgium. She's from Chicago, but, has lived all over the world. And I think just the cultural knowledge and being able to experience other cultures, experiencing other ways of life, again, tying back to who people of color have been in so many places, like we've cultivators and experiencing different plants and all of those sorts of things, I think gave her a lens around what could be done and what could be harvested from the earth. And so that was her approach growing up and continues to be.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Do you use natural remedies yourself at home sometimes?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes. I should say not. Yes, I do. I use a lot of things. So I will say, I enjoy products that work well. I enjoy products that are backed by science. I also enjoy natural remedies. I think it's all about a combination. I don't subscribe to this is the one way that you should, remedy this ailment or approach feeling better. I think it's about a holistic approach, and that's how I try to be.
I love that. And that's definitely present in Brown Girl Jane, this holistic approach. So cool. So going slightly forward in time from your earliest memories of the lavender and the eucalyptus with your mother, I think we might share a similar experience in like junior high and high school where life was all about the body sprays.
All about. Yes.
What were some of those early things that you chose to wear for yourself and that form factor?
Yeah, I think Pear Glacé will probably always reign.
Pear Glacé.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
I think, and it's so fun. They were just fun, bright scents that made you feel like you had a little oomph. And I would have them in every form. So you get the body lotion and then the spritz spray. And, smelling that now can take me exactly back to who I was. in high school.
Yes.
Or in college, and what I was doing and where I was applying it. And so it's scent memory is just so fascinating that way. And body spray absolutely has a big part in my scent memory for sure.
I love that. So take me through your fragrance journey, right? So you said it's Père Glacé, junior high school. Were there any other fragrances there that you remember?
In high school?
Yeah.
In high school, I probably got fancy with Donna Karan Cashmere Mist.
Oh.
And yeah.
That's fancy.
I was very fancy.
You're a fancy high schooler.
Or maybe that was college. And, I was an early layerer. So I liked playing with layering different scents. And so I would play with different combinations. That's actually something that we do a lot in the brand now. But started with Donna Karan Cashmere Mist. And then I think I became more of a Champs-Élysées girl. And then Hannah Moret was like my jam for many, many years.
Oh, we speak in French now. We're fancy.
Fancy adjacent.
Fancy adjacent.
I was not super fancy.
But that's pretty sophisticated for a young person. So it seems like fragrance has been super meaningful for you.
It has.
Yeah, over your life.
It has, in multiple ways.
Yes.
Yeah, so not only personal fragrance, but literally if I think of important people or events in my life, I can kind of smell it.
Wow. Tell me about some of those events.
I can think of like the first boyfriend. I remember how the first boyfriend smelled.
What did he smell like?
Like that high school,
like an Axe.
I feel like that's probably common, right?
It's
like
nice though.
Like, do they all smell like that?
Axe or Abercrombie Fierce, maybe.
Yes, it was very, a little maybe Hollister.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I can remember how my school smelled. Like, if I don't want that fragrance.
We don't want that on our body now.
We don't. But that memory is so strong, and it not only is memory, but like the memory and then the feeling all connect in your brain, even just thinking about it, which is really cool.
Wow. So college, we're getting a little bit more into the eau de parfum type of era.
Yes.
What about Wall Street? What fragrances were you wearing there, or what did it smell like? Tell me all the things.
So at work on Wall Street, I was wearing skin scents. So I was not projecting a ton of fragrance while I was working because, I was just moving and I wasn't, that wasn't how my expression was shown. But at night, that's when I would really, ramp it up. And so I did more of like the citrusy and soft florals at work. And then at night I would, be more adventurous. And that's when I would, do more of my gourmands and some of those fragrances. And so it was fun also to like not be different people, but just express different sides of your personality based on the environment.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's so cool. Was there any scent at the time or today that makes you feel powerful?
Well, I'm so biased. So like outside of our collection or including?
Let's go when you were on Wall Street. If you had a big, I'm not from the finance world, so I don't know if you had any like big power moves to do, like a power broker.
So I was a trader. So yeah, so it was
for
like
a big deal.
Yes. But yeah, it was like a day in, day out thing. So like the market's open, you're on versus, a big presentation or something like that. So, I used to love Miss Dior. And
I love that. Yeah. Miss Dior. Yeah. It's still feminine.
Like it's feminine, but it's also powerful. For me at that time. And again, Hannah Moret, I that was my jam. That was also,
I love that.
Yeah. A little softer, but still, unique and powerful.
So cool. I'm really excited to smell through your two collections here. The first, I'd love to speak about the Wanderlust collection. Casablanca, Bahia, Lamu.
We designed the Wanderlust collection during COVID. And so that was a time of lockdown when we all had Wanderlust and wanted to just get out and explore. And so we were talking about the transformative power of scent and where that scent could take us. And we started thinking about, all around the world, our muses from these different places, from Brazil, from Kenya, from Morocco. And so that played into the title and the theme of the collection, but each of the fragrances have a specific wellness benefit as well.
So tell me about Casablanca. Let's smell that one.
Casablanca. So Casablanca is our scent designed for love. It is, a fan favorite. This is a cult favorite. You can smell the marshmallow, which is really addictive. And it's designed to be addictive, but it's also balanced by that soft suede, cardamom, a little incense. It took me back to visiting Morocco and walking like the night markets and that smell of suede in the air, but also a sweetness. And so it's really romantic and but also wearable.
I love it. So dreamy.
Thank you.
Does it have any relevance with the movie as well?
Casablanca? No, it's more about the place.
I was trying to be
so
cute.
kind of, sort of, yes.
I was trying to be cute.
Well, it is a love story.
It is a love story.
It is a love story, yes. So yes, it does.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
This smells delicious. I do get that marshmallow note.
Yeah.
I'm falling in love with this scent, so it does do as intended.
Yay, it's working.
So the next scent I'd love to smell with you is Bahia.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit more about it?
So this is, I spent a lot of time in Brazil. I used to live in Brazil, and this is the most peaceful scent. It has a little bit of tuberose, jasmine, gardenia, but also peach nectar. So it's also a little bright. It's our floral for a lot of people who don't think they like florals. Right. They will also gravitate towards this. And it almost feels like a bubble bath to me. And it's designed to really feel peaceful, centered, and calm.
You're right. It's a non-floral floral, but it's so floral.
Yes.
But
it's the best parts.
That's the best parts
of
them.
Parts.
It's not too heavy. It's very like light and dreamy.
Thank you. It has that juicy peach.
It's like mouth-watering peach, yes.
Wonderful. I love this.
Absolute delight. When would you wear Bahia today?
I wear this a lot when I feel like I want to just pamper myself. When I'm, it's sort of like that glass of wine in a bubble bath moment. Yes. And I like spraying it. And it's also a very feminine scent. So when I'm in that sort of grounded but also girly mood, that's my Bahia moment.
It's self-care.
It is
self-care.
It is.
I'm envisioning that you must have an actual bathtub. That I live in New York City, so I'm like
bubbles.
Just imagining. I'm like sitting in that someone else had, but I'm imagining it takes me to like a fancy bathtub, like you said. You've got that beautiful wooden tray that sits over it.
Yes. It's the feeling. You don't need the tub.
I don't need the tub.
Bahia.
I have Bahia. My hair's wrapped in a towel.
Yes.
With the wine. The wine's important.
The wine is a must, yeah.
The wine is a must. Yeah. I love it. So the next scent in the Wanderlust collection I'd like to talk about is Lamu.
Yes. Our vacation in a bottle. So actually, I mentioned my parents met and got married in Kenya. Lamu is a coastal beach city, and it's the fragrance is made to evoke joy. It's super bright. It has bergamot and coastal sage, plumeria, coconut, Italian lemon. It's just a really juicy, sparkly scent that feels like the beach, but also distinctive. Like it doesn't smell like suntan lotion.
Right.
It smells more like the beach air and some of those citrus fruits that you'd find, along the coast.
Yeah, sometimes when someone says like a vacation scent, you do think of the suntan lotion notes that are pleasant, but this one I feel the whole atmosphere around it, like the the experience of it.
Yeah.
Not just the what's on my body, but what's around me in the air.
I love that. It's joyful. And it's also an elevated sort of take on the vacation on a bottle, away from some of the suntan lotion.
Yes.
Although that's important to have in real life.
It is. Vacations are important, but this is the next best thing.
Vacations and suntan lotion. But that's the next level.
I think I would wear this when like there's no holidays that month, to give me a day off of work.
Yes.
And I have no vacations planned yet.
Right.
This is where I go.
No, the out of office notification is not turned on yet.
It is very in office.
It's very in office.
And we want to be out of office.
Yes, but it gives you that moment.
This is
particularly
a moment
closing
of joy.
your eyes, just like you said, leave the meeting, close your eyes, and just take a deep inhale. Lamu. Now we're both whispering.
We're whispering again. That's exactly how transportive these scents are.
I love it.
For the record. Yes, I love them. They're all great. And they do, while they live in different spaces, they all do come together under this like transportive, wanderlust, like get me outside type of feel.
Thank you. And they're meant to be layered. Right. Because, and that's, I think what we talked about, we want to be able to grab what you need when you need it. And sometimes you need a bit of love in a really joyful way.
Yes.
And I love playing with the combination. So they all work well together.
What is one of your favorite combinations of the Wanderlust scents?
So Lamu over anything to me makes it even brighter. It just makes it a little juicy. And so Casablanca is a super sexy, sultry scent. And sometimes if I want to just make it a little more daytime or brighten it up a little, I'll do Lamu and Casablanca, which is kind of unexpected, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to say those too. But that's great. It's kind of like, we've talked a lot about balance today. Yeah. And I think if you don't want to live directly in one space, you have the luxury of having all three and kind of, playing on different elements of each of them.
Yeah, and making it your own. I think that's the other part, that we want you to be able to enjoy what we've created, but also, put your spin on it by mixing all of them together.
Yes, we need all three.
Yes.
We need them all.
Can't just get one.
So the other collection I wanted to talk to you about is really around the day to night.
Yes.
Right? So let's talk about the 3 scents in that collection: Dawn, Dusk, and Dare.
Yes.
So exciting. Could you tell me a little bit more about how all 3 of those come together?
Sure. We wanted to really explore, those moments that you need at specific times during the day. And for Dawn, it was really around energy and revitalization. What could give us that sort of boosting shot outside of our coffee cup in the form of a fragrance? And so it's really around energy. Dusk is for sleep. It's to relax us, to center us, to ground us at the end of the night when the dusk settles in. Right. And then Dare is also during the night. But could really be any time.
Yes.
But it's really about exploring the intimacy and sensuality that happens, maybe past midnight.
Oh, a little after.
So throughout the whole after dark, yes, throughout the day, whatever you need, and night.
Yes,
and evening.
So they don't necessarily all live in just one space, but they can transport you or move you through those periods of the day.
Yes. Yes. And again, they're all tied to, specific wellness benefits. So the reality is you may need that energy at night and you may want that, grounding force in the morning. But it's been really fun to play with, what happens at those particular times. And Dare can be used anytime. That's
anytime.
Anytime, right?
I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's smell through them. How about Dawn first?
Yes. I love Dawn. I think, we really, if I have to say so myself, we got vanilla perfectly right in this one. It's vanilla bourbon and amber, but it's also bright, and wearable. And it just gives me that boost in a really fancy way, if that makes sense.
A sophisticated boost.
Yes, it's a very chic boost and a very chic vanilla. That works really amazingly in the morning for energy. So that's why you said dawn, but really, like I said, anytime.
Yes. So Dawn's major wellness benefit, you'd say, is probably energy.
Energy and revitalization, yeah.
And like you said, you might need energy at night too.
Oh, yes. And we usually do need energy at night, right? And that's I think the beautiful thing is that even I think that's the beautiful thing beyond even the wellness benefits is that it just smells so great. And so you can, you wear them anytime, but you also get that extra punch if that's what you're looking for too.
Yes. I feel like it's not like a caffeine jolt. It's like it's like a rise.
I was going to say, it's like the symphony that plays through your speaker to wake you up. It's not the right. You've set the alarm to classical.
Yes.
But it's waking you up.
It's reminding me of my favorite movie, Coming to America.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
As the violinists come out.
That's exactly what that is the approach to waking you up in the morning.
Yes.
We do not like the blaring alarm.
We don't. Yeah. We all deserve the violins and being Prince Hakeem.
The curtains are slowly opening.
Yes.
With dawn.
So the next one I'd like to smell is Dusk.
Yes. So Dusk, we really wanted to, so many women talk to us about not being able to sleep, right?
And I'm raising my hand for that.
Yeah. And also using fragrance at night before bed. And so we were like, let's explore what that could look like. And started formulating and came up with Dusk, which is just, to me, a really beautiful scent. And it almost takes me to I feel like I'm in Joshua Tree or something, yes. Or, Arizona when I smell it. It has a little milk, santal. It has nectar, sandalwood. It's really grounding and comforting, and it can lull you to sleep. And that's the wellness benefit. Really rest and comfort and grounding.
It feels like someone with that milk. It's like you're not just falling to sleep. It's like you're being tucked in.
I was going to say you're being rocked.
You're being rocked.
Yeah, it has the sandalwood and the santal and the nectar, but also the creaminess of the milk. I think grounds it and makes it just sort of more enveloping as a scent, really complex. I've never smelled anything like it. It has a little toasted almond, really delicious.
It's wonderful. It's got a gourmand that's natural, which I think is descriptive of the places you mentioned. It doesn't feel like sweet, but it's like a comfort. I just love it so much. I love every single scent. It's like the greatest hits.
Thank you.
No fillers here. Thank
you. Yeah, we like to pack a punch.
Yes.
And that's what we've also learned about our tribe member. We want a memorable fragrance. Yeah, so these are really formulated to be distinct and different.
All right, and the last one in the day to night collection is Dare.
Dare is super sexy, and so we wanted to explore not only the typical get up in the morning and go to sleep, but what happens in the after evening hours, and what that sensual, intimate fragrance could look like, and how it could take you to that place of just sexiness, and in a really amazing way. And so this has really juicy cherry. It also is balanced with lychee, and has a little bit of tobacco and Italian leather. This is this is sex.
I have to say, this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
I can't contain myself. This is my favorite one.
I love it.
Out of the 6, it's just...
How does it make you feel?
It does. I like to go out, and the scent, whenever I wear it, makes me feel like I'm my most authentic, free self.
I love that.
At any time of the day, whether it's a happy hour or, a cocktail bar.
Mm-hmm. Your heels are giving me Dare.
Thank you.
It's of no surprise.
I like to, during the day, Dare actually makes me feel powerful during the day as well.
That's what I heard when you were saying that. There is a level of power, femininity, and that leather and the way that we played with leather and cherry, I think, is really unique and special.
I love it. And you're mentioning lychee. It doesn't smell like a lychee martini, but it feels like holding one.
Right.
You know, that martini glass?
Yes. Yes.
And the
you
power.
You know where you are when you have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where I want to be always.
I love that for you.
I love Dare for me too.
It's super sexy. It's, our red light.
Yes, the red light district,
yes.
The after hours. Mm-hmm. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much for smelling each of these with me. In this rapid fire segment, I'm going to just name a nostalgic scent from the past, right? From growing up, and ask you to share the first thing that comes to mind. It could be a mood, feeling, or memory, right?
Okay.
Just one thing really quickly. Are you ready?
I think so.
You are, totally.
Okay. I got this.
Here we go. And we've talked about this one. Pear glacé.
Abandon. I feel like it's that time in high school where you're just out there and you're out of junior high, so you feel a little bit more
grown.
More grown, more yourself, and you're just ready to move with the little reckless abandon.
Reckless abandon.
With that pear glacé.
Pear glacé, reckless abandon. I love it.
That's all I need.
How about Abercrombie Fierce?
I don't know. Flannel shirt. Like I see him in a flannel shirt over a t-shirt with some jeans and some Converse. That's what it's giving.
How about Japanese cherry blossom?
Peace.
Is there a story behind that? A short story?
Well, cherry has been used in so many beautiful ways. And so it just takes me back to this particular time in Japan. And there was a ceremony and just, it's so funny. I'm sort of transported right now.
Yes.
But it was a very peaceful time, and it was a peaceful experience. And I just remember the smell.
Yes.
It takes me back to that very specific experience.
Gap Dream.
It feels like America. It feels, I feel like a mall. Like that was such a time when everyone, it was like before the indie brand, and it just feels very collective and in a very all-American way.
DKNY, New York.
Electricity. Yeah. I'm also remembering the like all of the senses are coming into mind, right? So I'm like the yellow cab and the trench coats and just the movement. So it feels frenetic, but in a sexy way.
Ooh, you've completely transported me to all of these places. Thank you for that. I like zoned out listening to you. That's so good.
Thank you.
Bombshell.
Ooh, bombshell. It's like the soft life era back in the day before we started calling it that. Like super feminine, girly, pink, of course.
Of course, VS.
Yes. But in a very traditional way.
I love it. I love it. Cucumber melon.
Clean. I think cucumber melon was the time where it was like the anti VS for me, and more of like stripping down and wanting to feel, very centered almost, and just fresh, clean. Yeah, yourself stripped down a bit.
I love that. Thinking back to where you were a few years ago, at the top of your game, but still feeling burnt out, as you mentioned, when you look in the mirror, how would you describe the person you see today?
I love that question. Evolved, I think, and closer to myself. There was never a point where I felt like I wasn't myself or I wasn't my full self. But now looking back, I'm like, no, now this is, you're living unapologetically, you're really following your dream. And so I just feel like that evolution has been a wild ride to be on, but also, just knowing that you're on that little roller coaster, getting closer to your true self has been really fun.
I love that. And if you could summarize, what is the main thing you want your customers, people who experience Brown Girl Jane, to get out of your brand?
So we're, your support system in the form of a little bottle that you can spray on and, be able to evoke whatever mood you need at the time. And so I want you to be able to get that sense of community. I want you to get products that are efficacious and work. And I want you to smell damn good when you're leaving the house or whether you're, at home spraying it just for yourself.
I love it. I am so inspired by you. Thank you so much for joining us.
This has been an absolute pleasure. So much fun.